Buzzer beater. Technically, I was right at 7:30. I, I really was. I'm like I want to tell you I am, you know, 4 weeks and you, it is a buzzer beater. I mean, it is true. I got to tell you, man, this morning I thought I had more time. I got up early and man, I just started studying for this I almost want to say class today because I thought today was going to be like, oh man, how do I talk about you take things too personally? I mean, I don't really have any good examples. I don't know. I just don't know. So then I thought to myself, oh man, come up with a story. That's how I always do everything. Come up with a story. And I had this story. I'm like, I do take things too personal. I mean, I know I do, but I just don't know how I was going to explain this and how I was going to actually fill the time with it. It turns out, man, that I just blew myself away with what I'm going to talk to you about today because there's just so much to unpackage with the 5 stops of self-leadership and this one about stop taking things so damn personally. Todd Saylor, why are you doing it this way? Why are you doing it? So why are other people? Well, I mean, it's just a little deeper. So the story I have for you this morning is real simple. I actually have 2. So I have one story that came to me when I thought about Todd, you do take things too personally. And then this morning, as I was getting around and scrambling around and with my wife, I was reading and doing my thing. And my wife comes in and she gives me the story. As we're getting in the shower, we're kind of getting things around. I'm shaving my head. I'm getting things on and trying to look fresh for the day. And, I got a little too personal there for a second. We do shower. We're grown ass adults. All right. So it is what it is. It's not like we're both hurrying around to get our day going. It's like she's in a hurry. I'm in a hurry. Okay. All our clothes are on and we're showering. Oh man, what happened to this story this morning? It's a good thing she doesn't listen to these shows. My wife and I are both clean this morning. Man, isn't it fun? Isn't it fun? So the story I have about taking things too personally is simply the fact that I was getting ready for this donut eating championship of the world. And I had asked some people at the donut shop to ship some donuts to Molly Schuler, who is the greatest eating champion of the world. This woman is phenomenal. She is just spectacular. She does things right, and she's who we're going to take on the world with. This lady is great. But so I shipped her donuts, right? I sent her donuts, and I said, April, Shane, I said, I want you to get these donuts out to Molly. I want her to see the donuts she's going to be eating. I want her to, taste it. I want her to know what a real donut's like and all this. And I was so excited for Molly to say, oh, I'm going to enjoy this eating contest. I'm going to love this contest so much because I'm going to eat a Tom's Donut. I mean, this Tom's Donut is going to be so good. So we ended up, I said, ship her a variety of donuts, package them all just right. And when they get there, she can try them out because I know they're not going to ship very well. So they all get there and I get a phone call from Molly like 2 days later. Hey, I got the donuts. Hey, I got to talk to you about your donuts. I'm like, what? I mean, she's going to tell me how great the donuts were. Good. So sure enough, she calls me and I was like, hey, Molly. She goes, hey, Todd, I got your donuts. Thank you very much. The taste is okay, but they were really dry. I mean, just came right out really fast and hard. And look, these donuts are so dry that I'm gonna have to take on more water, and they're way too big and they're dense. They're not airy, light donuts. These are dense donuts. I'm like, okay, hold on. These are the greatest donuts in the world. These are Tom's Donuts, Molly. They aren't made to power eat. They're made to enjoy and love. But the part that got me the most was she said they were too dry. And oh man. And I said, well, did you get any other donuts? She goes, no, they only shipped me the glazed donuts. I said, okay, let's time out, time out. They were supposed to ship you other donuts because when they ship, they get dried out. They're two, maybe 3 days old by the time. Who knows? The guy throws them around on the truck and whatever goes on there. I said, Molly, my donuts are not dry. I mean, I'm just here to tell you my donuts are not dry. We have the greatest donuts in the world. What are you talking? And I'm like, I'm literally go off on this thing. And so I call her back up after we have the conversation. Molly, I was just thinking about it, man. I got to get you a fresh donut. The donuts we're going to make for the contest are going to be a little smaller and a little more palatable, and they're going to be fresh. They're going to be so good. And she goes, oh, I know. I said, Molly, I feel so bad about this. I want to fly you to Angola, Indiana. I want to fly you and whoever you need to bring to Angola, Indiana, so you can actually have a hot, warm Tom's Donuts like the day you're going to have it on the contest day. I want you to know. She goes, oh, no, it's okay. I said, no, Molly. I mean, I got to get you here. I mean, we can do a photo shoot. We can have some fun with it, and I'm making up all these excuses of, how and why I should get her to Angola, Indiana. But at the end of the day, I took it so damn personal. Todd, why did you take it so personal? All she said was the donut was dry. It took me 2 days, and now I'm actually bringing her to Angola, Indiana. She's driving to Angola, Indiana. I'm putting her up in a hotel. I'm probably going to spend another $500 just to get her to try a fresh donut versus the one she thought she had that was only too dry. Todd, you're taking it too damn personal. Ooh, so I am guilty of it, The 5 stops of personal leadership, we're on number 2. Don't take things so damn personal. And I want to get into the psychology of it. And so I'm digging through it. I'm reading the story. I want you to go to the comments sections. Jason, draw people's attention to this article we're going to talk about briefly. We're going to get through this in 20 minutes. Good morning, Christina. Good morning, Jason, Luther, Shane, Heather, all the regulars. Debbie Cronwell is so lovely. Thank you, Debbie. Awesome. Good morning. And so, not to make anything matter, so I got this story in my head of, I do take things personal, but then I'm getting back to the shower, Jason. I just want to tell you, back to the shower story. So we're getting ready and we're trying to scramble, and I'm literally almost 30 seconds late for the show because of the preparation, and I decided to, get in there and shower. I'm getting out of the shower, and I tell my wife about this topic and everything, shower talk. And, that's how we are. We have motivational shower talk. She was doing her push-ups in the shower, and she was doing her leg squats, and I'm doing it. And anyways, but here's the deal. She says to me on the way out of the shower, I said, I dropped another pound. She goes, oh, that's great. And I said, that food I ate yesterday was a lot of food. I felt full and everything. And she goes, well, I know one thing about what you ate yesterday is you stink and you smell like garlic. And I took it personally. I'm like, well, really? I smell like garlic? I didn't even know I ate garlic. I mean, am I going to smell all day long, or what are people going to think? Man, I do take things too personally. So I just want to have fun with you guys. I know the show is the show. Fun is fun, but let's get down to business right now. We got some things to talk about here. Don't take things too damn personally, right? And so here's what yesterday we talked about stopping comparing yourself to others. We went through it pretty quick because I think that's really something we all know, that I think everything we do to a degree is good or unhealthy, right? And so we don't want to overdo doses of things I'm going to talk to you about today. But yesterday, I know that we do have marks. I write about it in my book, Drift Again. Marks. I personally set goals to go and capture and go past other people in my life. I want to be better than my father in many things. I want to be better than other authors in many things. I want to be a better host than other people. I want to be a better tiki hut retreat leader. I want to be the best leader I can be. And don't get me wrong, I do compare myself to other people for in mostly good ways. But I also want you to understand we can't get lost in the Instagram and the Facebook and comparing ourselves to Grant Cardone and all these other people who are carrying on and doing things in a different way that just don't fit our ability, our reasonality, right? We don't all have the same values, and we're going to get into that a little bit here because I want you to understand that I want you to stop literally comparing yourself to others is what we talked about yesterday. And I want you to look forward to being you and singling in your lane and going down your lane and growing who you are going to be, because that's your differentiality. But today I want to talk to you about stop taking things personally. Number 2, stop taking things personally, of the 5 stops of self-leadership. And I thought to myself, man, how could I teach on that this morning? And man, was my eyes brought wide open with this article I read as I started searching and studying this morning at 5:30 in the morning. I literally barely made it on the show, and I started at 5:30 this morning with this show. Just so you know, man, this life that I want for you, this life that I want for myself, this life I want for my family, my legacy, my children, this life takes work. And I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for myself. And I just want you to know we're both growing through all this. So I want you to stop taking things so personally. And what I want to share with you today, and I'm going to try and do this in 10 minutes or less. Where are we at on time already this morning? I got caught up in the shower and the stories. We're at 11 minutes. So here's where we are. Stop taking things so personally. And what I wanted to break this down to is here's the 7 things that you're doing that causes you to take things too personally, and why it's important not to take things too personally. All right. So here, one of the things is I'm just going to read these off to you. Then we're going to start talking about you're a social perfectionist. I can't wait to talk to you about that topic. 2, you use negative self-talk, negative self-talk as motivation. 2. Number 3, you're afraid to be proud of yourself. Come on now, somebody. Come on now, somebody. You don't know how to be assertive. You don't know how to push back at the right times or be assertive at all. Not saying you are all these things, but I'm saying these are things that we touch on ourselves, right? That we need to be thinking about when we're taking things too personally. This is why we take things too personally. You get lost in your own story. I can't wait. I'm going to try to get to all these today. I got lost in my own story this morning, and I can't wait to explain that to you. Number 6, you spend too much time with the wrong people. We got to talk about that. And you don't know your values. Come on, somebody. You don't know your values. I want to help you with your purpose. I want to help you with your values. I want to help you be that person that we're striving for. So what we're talking about today is you guys are late joining. There's lots of people on this morning. Thank you. Let's see who we got real quick here. Comments. Oh, good morning. Good morning, Heather, David, a rock star. Good morning, Madeline, Christina. Glad to have you this morning. Jumping on board. I mean, any new people on here. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, Shane. All right, everybody. So here's where we are. I want to talk to you about number 1. You're a social perfectionist. A social perfectionist. Now, here's the thing about you're a social perfectionist. The definition of a social perfectionist is when you can't stand the thought of other people seeing your flaws or mistakes. So I want to talk to you about the social perfectionist side real quick. A social perfectionist is when you can't stand. So you're taking things too personally, because I want you to think about this. It forced me to think about this. Is you can't stand for other people to see your flaws. So we're going to go back. We're going to pick on this Todd, right? We're going to pick on Todd. He couldn't, when Molly said the donuts were too dry, that's all she said. She didn't say they were awful. She didn't say she wasn't going to come. She didn't say it's the worst job she's ever had. Listen, this woman ate 100 hard-boiled eggs not less than a week ago. She ate a 12-pound pizza. I don't even know if she tasted that. She drank canola oil. She's done things far more absurd than eating a dry donut, right? But my mind had blocked all that out, right? You, you're concerned, right? You're concerned. Social perfection is when you can't stand the thought of other people seeing flaws or mistakes. So I saw that my flaw was that the donuts got shipped improperly, and the flaw was that the donut I heard was no good, right? I heard that it wasn't going to work, right? And so I want you to understand that this social perfectionism is something that we've got to be aware of when we start to take things too personally. I want you to understand that we've got to separate the truth from the reality. We've got to separate the truth from reality. Social perfection, critical comment rarely talk about. Social perfection is when you can't stand. It's okay to make mistakes, and more important, it's okay to worry about what other people think of you. It's okay to make mistakes, and more importantly, it's okay to worry about what other people think of you. So I want to touch on that one real quick too. I think this social media world and all these so-called doctors and people out there are out there telling you that it doesn't matter what people think about you. I think that, like I said in the beginning of this show, everything in moderation is probably good or bad for you in some dose. But I want you to understand that it's okay to worry about what other people think about you. And I want you to understand, worry is the word I want you to understand is that you don't need to worry long. You just need to understand what other people are thinking about you. And then you need to bifurcate the truth. Are they really thinking the truth? Are they really taking the right advice? Are they really saying the right things? Because I get a lot of negative comments. I get comments on Messenger. I get comments on Facebook. I get comments on my ads. I've got to logic through what they're saying. Matter of fact, when I wrote my third book, Your Will Be Done, I had a negative reader. I hired a reader that was negative. Like, I knew he was an unchristian. He was a anti self-help guru, but he was really good at writing books, and he was really good at critiquing things. And so I had him read it. I don't know what I was thinking, but man, he was hard on me. He called it a combination of Joel Osteen and Tony Robbins, and he was not the reader for the book. And I thought to myself, man, I wonder how many books combined Joel Osteen and Tony Robbins sold together. That was literally after I went down, 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 down. I came back up, up, up. I'm like, okay, how can I look at this? Right? I think it's important that we think about how other people think about us, and that it's okay to make mistakes. Literally, you guys know that this show is full of mistakes. Last week was like 2 in a row with sound checks and whatnot. I want you to understand you're a social perfectionist, and I want you to work on that. Number 2, you use negative self-talk as a motivation. You use negative self-talk as a motivation. Most of us grow up learning that the only way to be successful in life is to be tough on ourselves, and inevitably, this leads to subtle but powerful habits of negative self-talk. We think that if we're tough enough on ourselves, it will motivate us to success. Well, listen, I want to speak to you briefly on that. That's not how it works. When you continually self-motivate yourself by negative self-talk, like just the other day, I was speaking with Kara, and she was getting ready for one of her sugar tests. And she said, hey, mom, dad, let's play high-low. I said, okay, what is it? Over or under, she said. I said, okay, what is it? She goes, my peptide C test was 0.71. I'm getting another peptide C test. And if it's above 0.71, it's going to be great. And things are really improving in my life. And I can really maybe make something out of this. But if it's below 0.71, I'm going to have a little harder work to do, and some realities are going to set in. I said, okay. She says, what is it, Dad? I said, I think it's going to be a 0.85. And her mom says, I think it's going to be a 0.9. And she goes, well, I think it's going to be a 0.55. I'm like, Kara, what is going on? Didn't I raise you? Aren't you wired differently? You're a D1 athlete. You're out there doing these things. And it just dawned on me. I said, why would you go 0.55? And she says, Dad, I want to prepare myself for the worst. So when it comes back better than 0.55, I'll feel great. But if it doesn't come in better than 0.71, I'll still feel okay because I set my bar low. I said, Kara, Kara, Kara. That's negative self-talk. That's the idea of set. I get it. I know a lot of you are saying here right now, man. Let me just go to you right now. Some comments, right? That's you, man. That's you. I do that. And I get it. It's a comfort zone that we put ourselves in. It's a place where we set ourselves up. It's a place like this morning. I went to weigh myself, and I am a positive dude. Literally, I am one of the most positive guys you're ever going to meet on this planet. But I went to weigh in this morning. I said, I ate way too much food last night. I ate the right foods, but way too much food. There's no way I'm going to come in under 111. There's just no way. Right? I got on the scale. It came in at 110 or 210. Bottom line is we do these things. We justify. We put things in our mind. We set our barometers at certain Richter scales so that we can go off, up, or down. But listen, my daughter's doing what she has to do to survive. But I want you to understand, do not use negative talk for motivation. Take that out of your life. These are the causes of why we take things so personally. These are the root causes of why we take things so personally. Number 3, you're afraid to be proud of yourself. Listen, let's talk about that directly right now. You're afraid to be proud of yourself. Listen, I was raised in a generation where the word "you're so vain." Like, do you remember Jan Gates? Good morning, good morning, good morning. A healthy sense of pride is powerful defense against unjust criticism and taking things personally, right? You have to understand not to be afraid to be proud of yourself. Can you imagine any of us that are 40 or over, when we were kids, before Facebook, before all the things that were going on, the way, good morning, Lou. Good morning, Claire. Good morning. Everybody's getting up. We're having a great morning, Claire. Lou, I want some input from you. You're in the same age bracket as me. When we were kids, I remember being a little kid in elementary school, and I would say something like, man, don't I look good today? Once it would slip, right? And someone would say, you're so vain, right? You're conceited. We were raised that way, right? You would go to church. If you did go to church, you weren't supposed to talk about yourself. You only have to, you only should talk about God, and you would lift, clearly we're supposed to lift God up, but God is the author of us. He wants us in his image. And if God wants us to lift him up, then he wants us to lift ourselves up. So I want you to understand that you can't be afraid to be proud of yourself. Now, we can't be peacocking, running around and peacocking. That's something I learned that I did a little bit of in some articles I wrote. They said, don't peacock. I'm like, okay, all right. That means don't puff up too much. Don't be too much. Don't get yourself out there too much. But you need to be willing to be proud of yourself. You need to be willing to defend yourself. You need to be able to step out from 1970, right? When when it was, you couldn't be vain. You couldn't be conceited. Like, if you took a school picture and you had it in your room of yourself, and someone saw a picture of yourself in your own room, you were super conceited and you were ostracized. And so I want you to understand that that's wrong. You need to be proud of yourself. You need to lift yourself up, even if it's in quietness. You need to lift your, hey, it's no secret. I have pictures of myself in my office. Matter of fact, I'm proud of myself. Come on now, somebody. That's Captain Payserve. He solves HR and payroll crimes. Come on now, somebody. Be proud of yourself, right down to the bracelets and the watch and exactly the muscle tone before the beard. All right, so don't sign off. Don't sign off. Stay here with me. I'm really fun, right? Really fun. All right, moving on. Jan Gates, I know you're cracking up right now. I love taking you guys through these things. I literally had a blast. Number 5, stay with me. This is important. Number 5, the reason we take things so personally. You get lost in your own stories. Now, listen, I told you two stories about myself this morning, and I wanted you to understand these two stories are very important because they're learning lessons. They're things that we need to understand. And so the reason I told you the story about the donuts is because I got lost in my own story. And I want this teaching point for you, Jan, Christina. Christina, listen to me, my friend. You are going through a life thing right now, Christina. I'm so proud of you. I need you to be proud of yourself. I need you to keep going. Stay the course. Stay disciplined, right? Stay positive if your own self-image, right? Don't quit, Christina. But I don't want you to get lost in your own stories when you take things personally. When people come back to you and they say something, listen, Christina, I make a lot of videos. I know. Matter of fact, I just posted a video. Go to my site or movie night with my family. And I know I'm going to get some shout outs. I know I'm going to get some people like, oh, why did you show the fancy boat? Why did you show the fancy lights? Oh, you have movie night out in your tiki hut with your family. Oh, why are you showing off? Well, listen, we're just living our life and having fun, right? And Christina, stay the course, right? But don't get lost in your own story, Todd. Because let's go back to the donut story. Why did I take it so personal? Why did I let that get to me? Because I got lost in the feeling of that story. It wasn't that the story that she told me about the dry donut was really that bad. It's the story I heard from the world that came back to me. It wasn't her criticizing the donut. It wasn't me even hearing the exact criticism of the donut. It was me hearing the story around the donut, right? And I was triggered that, oh my gosh, did everybody get dry donuts that day? Oh my gosh, someone's going to hear about it. They're going to stop. They're going to stop liking the donuts. They're going to stop liking me. And the whole story in my head, I got lost in the story. I didn't focus on not taking it personally because I got lost in the story. And what's going to happen to me if everybody finds out that we have dry donuts that day, or that they weren't good, or that, heavens forbid, Molly, the greatest donut eating a professional in the world, said my donuts weren't any good. I got lost in the story. The same thing, I got lost in the shower, right? I got lost in the shower. All I could hear that morning, the rest of the morning when I was with my wife, we started off well when she said, "You smell like garlic, you stink," right? I'm like, I got lost in the story. It wasn't, "I don't love you, honey." It wasn't that you don't look good, you've lost some weight. It wasn't like, "Hurry up and get to your show," right? Quit making nonsensical talk. I forgot all of the fun things that went on as we got up to the morning and got around together this morning. I just want you to understand, I got lost in the story of that I stink. I smell like garlic. What are they going to say on the show? Can they smell me through the screen? I got lost in the story. I remember a guy who I met a long time ago. He worked for me and he had this odor and I could never get it out of my mind and I had a hard time adjusting to this human being. And so the story around the message that my wife said made me take it personally. We didn't get lost in the facts. We got lost in the story that we've created from our memory and our past, right? Don't take things so personally. Bifurcate the facts. Almost done here. Number 6. I'm going to take you guys out. I want you to know I care. I care. Number 6. You spend way too much time with wrong people. Now, I'm not going to beat this one up because I'm just not the guy that says change your friends out like underwear, man. I'm not. I am not that guy. I stick with friends way too long, probably. But I want you to understand, the ones that are your friends that aren't producing for you, they're more like producing against you, don't spend so much time with them. People, it doesn't have to even be friends. I mean, I got friends that I can't spend a lot of time with, but I love them so desperately. But there's people that I wouldn't call my friends that I hang around with because I think they're going to make me money or going to do something for me or they're going to improve me in some way. But it's not just friends. Stop being around people that have negative impact on you. But you don't have to cut them out of your life. I have a friend, and I just want to quickly, I have a friend that's been in jail since he was 18 years old, and I love him so much. But at some point, after 35 some years, I just can't write letters anymore. I just can't keep sending money anymore. I feel so bad about it. Now, if he gets out, I'll go get him out and we'll have a good conversation again. But listen, you just can't spend too much time with those people because it causes us to have self-worth problems. And then we start to take things too personally, and we can't move through things with our life with this personal self-doubt. I don't know why these papers are sticking together the way they are. Number 7, you don't know your values. You don't know your values. You don't know your values. If you don't know your values, then you don't have anything to base anything on. So I want to wrap this up with you guys. I want you to understand how important it is to get your volume right. How important it is to know your values. It is. It's important to get the volume right. It's important to get your values right. It's important to bring this in 30 minutes because I know you guys spend a lot of time with me. And I take it very responsibly. I love you. And I want to just let you know that this is very important. Don't take things too personally. Work on your social perfection. You stop using negative self-talk as a motivational device. Become aware that you're afraid to be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself. Take stock in yourself. Invest in yourself. Be wired differently. You don't know how to be assertive, so get assertive. Become more assertive. Doesn't mean you need to be a bull in a china shop. It just means take charge a little bit more. Let people know how you feel, because if you don't, then they're going to walk all over you. You're going to have this self-deprecating mindset. You're going to have this self-deprecating value of yourself, right? You've got to tell people how you feel. They don't have to adjust to it. But there's just something about you saying, this is how you feel. You have to stand up for yourself, right? You have to stop stand. You have to stand, or you'll always take things personally, and you won't be able to break out of that land of quo. Remember that? Stop getting lost in your own story, Todd. It's just garlic. It's just garlic. It'll go away. Right. And the donuts weren't dry. They're not going to be dry every day. They're not going to be shipped across country and 2 days old and thrown around in a UPS truck and trick shots done with it. Stop spending too much time with the people that aren't helping you, Todd. And you don't know your values. Todd, square up your values. That's what I have for you this morning. What a great show. 30 minutes went quick, and everybody hung in there with me, man. What a privilege to be with you guys. God bless you. I need you to be, do, and think differently, right? Stop taking things so personally. Stop taking things so personally. Tomorrow, we're going to knock out another great day. ToddSaylor.com. I got your back.